We know that there are very few gender differences in these networks, though there are some that are interesting. I won't talk about them today. And we know that these differences are relatively persistent over time. The structural differences will normalize by about 16 to 18 years of age. That is the size of the brain, but the functioning of the brain will not. And contrary to Tom Cruise and the Scientologists, these brain differences have nothing to do with giving medication to these children. So let me show you the parts of the brain we're talking about very quickly. Let me get my cursor up here on the screen. This is the right orbital frontal area right here. This part of the brain projects back in between those two hemispheres. There's a structure you can't see. It's right about in here, and that's the anterior cingulate. And then there are projections back into the basal ganglia right here, and then back to the cerebellum right there. And it's the right side of the cerebellum in the central part that's smaller. Indeed, most interesting is that research has found in the last 2 years that the parents and the brothers and sisters of ADHD children also have smaller neural networks in exactly these areas, except for one, and that is the cerebellum, which tells us that of all of these differences, most of them are part of the family phenotype. Even if the family member never shows the disorder, they carry these patterns of underdevelopment. What may make the disorder break through into full disorder is that something happened to that cerebellum. That's an interesting possibility. Remains to be replicated, but that's a finding from research at UCLA. So what's going on? The brain is not developing on time. We know that from the Montreal, New York, Washington multi-site study, in which 223 ADHD and normal children were scanned serially over a period of about 10 years. This is the first developmental neuroimaging study. And what did it find? That the frontal lobe of the brain, primarily, is about 2 to 3 years delayed in its growth. This is a study of growth, not function, just brain size. And what you're looking at is a top-down view of the brain, and these are the frontal lobes. So there's about a 2 to 3 year delay in your brain development, and you can see it in the right and in the left hemisphere here as well. So this was a groundbreaking study demonstrating that the brain is late in these crucial executive areas to develop. Now, the better parent is going to be asking me about this. This is not the frontal lobe. What the heck is that? All right? That's back where your visual cortex is. Why would that be involved in ADHD? The second executive function is visual imagery. And that's involved in visual imagery. This part of the brain developed too early. This is the motor strip, and it developed about 2 to 3 years earlier, and it's where the hyperactivity is coming from. So you've got a motor strip that's generating behavior and a frontal lobe that's not regulating it.